Let's talk about some approaches.
Like going through some specific exercise or
whatever we want to call it, go through some mobility or some movement in order to increase mobility.
I mean, I think one of the areas, especially as an Eldoa trainer, that I see some of the most loss of movement is through the spine. You can just picture someone.
That's me.
You can picture someone, I had someone asking me about their I think their mother or their grandmother, and they're like, why as we get older, she's getting more and more hunched and kyphotic and rounded and compressed. And a lot of that, some of that is gravity's, at the end of the day is going to win the battle, but a lot of that is not moving your spine through ranges of motion. So I do personally think, and there's a lot of up and coming work with Eldoas and things like that. There's a lot of work with a lot of the major sport organizations, a lot golf, hockey, baseball, basketball that apply these principles where it works on the elongation of the spine, especially at very specific joint structures or joint junctions throughout the body, but a lot rooted in movement of the spine. And so I think when your spine is moving healthy in a functional way, in a way that you can control and there's proprioception and awareness of these different positions, I think that frees a lot of mobility.
Agreed.
For example, like if you can do all the shoulder mobility drills you want, you can hammer all these chest stretches and do all this stuff. But if your thoracic spine is in too much, you're too kyphotic, you're too rounded there, and you can't get any motion there, a lot of your upper body movements are going to suck. A lot of the end ranges of that mobility comes from your thoracic spine. It doesn't just come from, I just need to yank on my chest all day. So that's a good example of that.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And we've talked about this before. Can't remember how many episodes back, but we were talking about like, just because you're feeling, I think it was about, somebody asked a question about tight
hamstrings. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is what it was. There was another one near there about, I think, tight hip flexors, and, like you're feeling tightness in one spot. And so you go to attack that spot or that area, but that's tertiary.
Yes.
Or secondary or even tertiary to where the issues often lie. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I can tell you that not just that I agreed with, I would have agreed with you 15 years ago, but I definitely agree with you now because I can tell you, like, I never had issues with hip mobility until I lacked thoracic mobility, right? Which is probably likely less of a consequence of not moving, like intentionally not moving or just not exercising, but more because I lack almost no mobility in my lumbar spine, which is limited anyway to mostly flexion and extension.
Yeah.
But as that stuff has gone up the chain, now all the things outside of that, as you move up into my upper extremity, my lower extremity, have really suffered as a result. And so, again, the paying attention to what's happening at the spine and pelvis as it relates to maintaining, right, your mobility and or gaining some mobility is super important. So it's taking those things through a range of motion. You mentioned Eldoa, which is an application there.
Yes.
So and that might be a little bit more complex for the people that can understand. We should probably do an episode on that sometime. But there's other ways to do that. There's other, like, how to think about this when you walk into your workout.
Yeah. I mean, even just thinking of, people have seen basic exercise like a cat camel, which works more of that flexion extension, doing things in your exercise. We talked about applying this to movement, doing things that are more based on rotation, maybe isolating rotation while the hips are pinned. That works on more thoracic movement, maybe working side bending, working the different positions of your spine, which is something that I actually see a lot more that I feel like is getting popular, which is, I think, is a good thing. Is your spine is meant to move. It's meant to do these things in the right application, in the right capacity, in the right time for you. That's a good thing to say, because I think that's also some nuance there. But you can move your spine in lots of different ways. The biggest thing with mobility is, people have heard this, is that your best move is your next move. Like, you need to keep moving. You need to keep moving your spine. So if you're not moving your spine throughout the day, that's where you get really stiff. That's where you get really rigid. That's where you lose these range of motion. So,
So when we just kind of thinking about it globally from a larger perspective, think about your spine and your spine moving and all the things that it should be doing. And while you might not have a background in anatomy, functional anatomy or whatever, it's pretty basic, right? Your lumbar vertebrae, those are the ones at the bottom near your pelvis. They do the flexion extension stuff. That means they move you forward and backwards. It's like the crunching and extension, right?
Exactly.
As you start to move up into the thoracic spine, then you start to pick up additional degrees of rotation as well as flexion extension. Yeah. So that's where the rotation starts to happen. And then obviously as you get into the cervical spine. Don't forget
about your side bending.
Lateral flexion. Flexion extension, lateral flexion extension, or side bending, if you want, is really the term. And then as you get up into the cervical spine, you get all of that and
Yes,
more. That's there's the ultimate amount of mobility that you have anywhere in your spine is going to be up there. So with that mobility, you need to have additional stability in order to control. But the bottom line there is as soon as there's points in there that start to lack this, the other points in that chain are going to be impacted.
Yes.
Now, when you think about how the skeleton is put together, everything's attached to that thing or that stuff.
Yeah.
We talk the thing being the spine. If that shit ain't working right, right, then you can bet that something else down the chain is going not to be working right either. And that just might mean poor performance, but it also could mean, injury, at the end of the day, or debilitation. So anyhow, I love where we could go on and on and on about that. I love where you're going with that.